The economy, that is supposedly doing very, very well, loses 301,000 jobs, much more than expected, because they were already expecting to lose 200,000 jobs. So we'll talk just a bit about what's going on with that. Texas is experiencing another winter storm, and Abbott is on the hot seat as people remind him that he's set to prepare for loss of energy, and, well, he was too busy building a racist wall and chaining women to the stove so they have to carry their babies. But we will talk just a bit about what's going on with that. Ottawa talks about bringing out the military to take care of the trucker problem, and that's probably going to go over quite well with their citizenry. So we'll talk just a bit about what's going on there. And Crosby, Stills, and Nash also come out and say that they want to pull their music from Spotify. Hey, wouldn't it be a shame if a bass musician, maybe one named Steven, came out and made an album of Crosby, Stills, and Nash and Sometimes Young songs and posted it to Spotify? It is going to be all this and more. You're just mad you can't date me. I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary.
Blackcap chickadee.
Good morning, Ed Heads. Welcome to Contemporary. My name is Jay Edgar, and we have got another full-packed show today. A little bit of a scattershot. A lot of catch-up from a lot of other stories here, but definitely a little bit of a scattershot here. So we're going to get through it. We're going to get to as much of it as we can throughout the day today, including the 6 we left behind from yesterday, but that happens every once in a while over here on Contemporary. So let's just get right into it. Let's not just do a lengthy introduction. I kind of did a lengthy introduction already, saying how much of a shame it would be if Stephen Ignoramus made an album and maybe he had some of his musical friends come on and sing some bars for it too, of Crosby, Stills, and Nash and Sometimes Young songs and put it onto Spotify. How much of a shame would that be? I guess, hey, maybe we'll know, maybe we won't. But we will talk about all of this over here on Contemporary. But before we get started, make sure you guys go check out turnsofpagesproductions.com, where you can find, well, not yet because we're still on the start page, but where you'll be able to find great shows such as The Daily Ignoramus, The Breakdown with Birkenhoff, The R-Rated Conservative, The Freckles and Brit Show, not The Freckles and Brit Show, the new upcoming project between Brit and Sean Hickman, and The Porch Boys. Also, make sure you guys go check out last night's episode of The Mad Ones. This moron right here, this one right here that's hosting, got the date screwed up for the Mad Ones. I actually thought that the Steven episode was going to be in a week. It was last night. I caught the very tail end of it, but yeah, I thought it was going to be in a week. So I guess I'll have to go back and do the replay instead of come back and listen to it live, which is lame. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jessica. I'm sorry, Cam. But go over there, check that. If you haven't checked that episode out, go check that out, of the Mad Ones. WeAreTheMadOnes.com. Go check that out. Go check out the episode. Go check them out on YouTube and go grab some of their merch too. And that'll be that. So go check out turnsofpagesproductions.com. Let's get into the finance right away for the morning. The Dow turned up yesterday, but well, I guess we'll see what happens now that they're talking about the loss of jobs through this, because this is not official financial advice, but if I was invested deeply into the markets and I heard news like yesterday, I would be selling, especially in retail. I would especially be doing that, but that's what we see coming off of that. So go and, well, check with your financial advisor, make sure all of your assets are safe, and make sure you're sitting in a position where you can grow. Looking at the Bitcoin is at $36,748.50 US cents. Do remember that Bitcoin is the only way that you can live a truly libertarian lifestyle outside of the Fed. So says the Messiah, Joe Jorgensen. So remember, turn all of your currency into Bitcoin. Sell all of your ammo, all your hard assets, and bring it into Bitcoin. Because we were told that's the only way to live truly libertarian. I'm just joking with you guys. Do check with your financial advisor. That is going to be the best person who knows what it is. Like I say, I do use some crypto. I don't use Bitcoin, but I do use some crypto, kind of as a little bit of a savings account rather than actual currency because there's really no place to spend it. But if you can afford it and throw a $20 bill at it, it's a fun little game to play. But the people who are sinking like big money into it, I do wonder about them sometimes. I do. But other than that, that's what we see coming off the Bitcoin. It is on the downswing. Looking in at the scrap metal, copper has turned itself back up. Steel and aluminum remain down on the average. Looking at the individual plays, copper is a whipsaw because it's either all going down or it's all going up lately. And that includes brass too, by the way. All of your copper plays are up for the day. Looking in at steel, steel is more mixed than it has been. Light iron is down. Number one steel is up. Cast iron is up. Rotors are down. A complete car is down. Shreddable steel is down. Stainless is up. On aluminum, there's a lot of green there for the fact that aluminum is in the red on the average, but let's look at it. Siding is up. Aluminum copper fin is up. Radiators are up. Cans are up. Sheet aluminum is up, but rims are down. Let's look at the rest of this here. Electric motors are up. Ballasts are up. Lead is up. Car and truck batteries have turned themselves back onto the downswing. Small GM cats are back on the downswing again. Other than that, all catalytic converters are up for the day. Compressors are down. Alternators are up. Carbide is up. Hard drives are up. Motherboards, power supplies, low-grade boards, and full PC towers are all down. So that's what we're seeing coming in out of the scrap. Looking in, let's grab one from Investors Business Daily. And actually the second finance article and a couple that are subsequent after that, those are the first main topic here. So we'll be transitioning directly from the finance into the main topics here. So let's see what we have. From Investors Business Daily, Dow Jones futures fall. Techs dive as Facebook crashes, Spotify skids. Yeah, I put the Facebook thing down at the bottom of the show. No, I suppose that's about the middle of the show. I didn't put it all the way to the bottom, but yeah, we'll be talking about Facebook in their slide too, because that's going to be a draw on your NASDAQ and your S&P. Facebook parent Meta platforms, Spotify and Qualcomm headlined after-hours earnings. The market rally rose modestly Wednesday as Google parent Alphabet and AMD stock jumped on earnings, offsetting PayPal stock and weak overall breadth. Google stock broke out after the open on strong earnings and a 20-for-1 split, but pulled back below the 3,019.43 buy point. Shares jumped 7.5% to bring the advertisement and bring us back to the top. The shares still jumped 7.5% to 29.60. The relative strength line for Google stock hit an all-time high. AMD popped 5.1% on hot results and guidance, but still below its 50-day line. Meanwhile, PayPal and Dynatrace were among several earnings losers. Wednesday, PayPal stock crashed nearly 25% to the lowest point since May of 2020. DT stock skidded 18%, hitting a 52-week low. They also triggered big losses in beaten down growth stocks that have tried to rebound. Shopify and Snowflake fell sharply. I'm surprised Snowflake is falling sharply because there's so many of them complaining about Spotify right now. Tesla retreated modestly, still comfortably above its 200-day line. Meta Platforms earnings unexpectedly fell 5% while revenue narrowly beat. The Facebook parent also guided lower on Q1 revenue. Facebook stock crashed 22% in extended trade, signaling at least 11-month low. That's after rising 1.25% on Wednesday in reaction to Google earnings. Snapchat sold off more than 10% while Twitter and Trade Desk retreated significantly. Even Google stock fell modestly. Snapchat parent Snap reports on Thursday. Qualcomm was better than expected, while guidance also appeared solid. Qualcomm stock edged lower on Thursday. Shares had popped 6.25% to 188.20 on Wednesday, powering back above the 50-day line. The RS hit a line hit a record high, but it's not clear what good Qualcomm stock buy would be. Another chip maker, Max Linear, had a beat and raise report as well. Wow, I can read this morning. MXL stock edged higher in extended action. Shares climbed 1.4% on Wednesday to 61, rising for a fourth straight session after finding support in its 200-day line. Spotify were roughly in line, but paid subscriber guidance was a little light. Spotify is dealing with some musicians pulling their content, claiming Pinko Pox misinformation by podcast host Joe Rogan. Spotify stock plunged 11% overnight, and that's completely grassroots, and that's not some sort of backroom campaign or anything that's going on there. Of course, they're not organizing to do this. It's just happening on a grassroots fashion because everybody hates Spotify now. Tesla is on the IBD leaderboard. Google is on the IBD long-term leaders. Tesla and MXL are on the IBD 50. Google was the IBD stock of the day. Shocker. Alphabet is the stock of the day. On your futures. Oof. Unless you're into a Dow ETF, you're going to be sad about this one. Dow futures fell 0.2% versus fair value. S&P 500 futures sank 1.1%. NASDAQ futures plunged 2.2%. Probably weighted by Facebook, just like I said. Facebook stock is slamming NASDAQ, but many other techs are losing ground as well. Take that down just a little bit. Not quite that much. The Bank of England raised interest rates for the second straight month. The European Central Bank said it would end asset buys in March. The 10-year Treasury yield rose 3 basis points to 1.8%. Crude oil futures fell more than 1%. Hopefully that means some relief at the pump. Jeez. $3.19 yesterday was what I threw in at. Remember, overnight action in Dow futures and elsewhere doesn't necessarily translate into actual trading in the next regular stock market session. So that's what we see coming off of that. Let's get into the big news of the day, which is also, ironically, finance related here. And we are going to start with Yahoo Finance. Private payrolls fell by 301,000 in January, according to ADP, from Emily McCormick. A wise, long-haired man. He wears mirrored aviators and goes on rants. Once said something similar to what I'm about to say. When I called this right after the Christmas season and I said, hey, whatever you did in Christmas, back that off about 10 to 15% because, a lot of this is seasonal jobs and people are walking away from retail right now or getting laid off because they don't have the people for them and they don't have the product for them. And you know what? Fuck you! Oh wait, no, that's not my shtick, that's his shtick. But yes, I was right. Let's see what it is that they have to say. Private payrolls unexpectedly declined in January as the Ermagerd variant spread contributed to a market weakening in the labor market at the beginning of the year. Oh, you are trying so hard. And there are a couple other articles after this where they're trying so hard not to take responsibility for this. And it's fucking funny. U.S. private sector employment fell by 301,000 in January. ADP said it closely watched the monthly report on Wednesday because we had to find some way to turn it back around. That represented the first drop in payroll since December of 2020 and came after 776,000 payrolls were added back in December, honk honk. Based on ADP's revised monthly print, consensus economists had anticipated about 180,000 private payrolls would return in January, according to Bloomberg data. No, that's not what's going to happen. And even your 776,000 payrolls mark, which came down from what you guys thought it was going to be. But even that, we all knew what was that was going to be. You added new payrolls because it's Christmas season. For the last, probably not even week of November, because usually that's the last Thursday, and like November, if it ends on a weekend, when did November end this year? I don't even know. Oops, wrong way. Yeah, the last Thursday. So yeah, for like the last week of November, you had a bunch of jobs added onto this. And then through the December until the pretty much last week of December, when people were going to work to help alleviate some of the clog on the retail markets so people could go out and get their Christmas presents. And then, after Christmas, Some of these people were hired on and kept on because, hey, these people are begging for jobs. But yeah, a lot of them either walked away because, hey, you know what? I just can't work retail. I needed to go back and help my family a little bit. Or, sorry, kid, we don't have a spot for you. I told you this was going to happen. I called this back at the beginning of December. Service areas of the economy saw some of the largest declines of payrolls. No shit, Sherlock! The resorts, the Christmas stuff, the people who went to the hotel or whatever the fuck it was to go and have their Thanksgiving dinner with family across the country or travel across the country for Christmas or New Year's or whatever the fuck. No shit, Sherlock. No, of course those are the ones that drop the most. Because now people are back home from Christmas and realizing that they can't afford this vacation anymore. With industries most vulnerable to virus-related disruptions posting some of the biggest losses, leisure and hospitality jobs fell by more than 150,000 in January, unwinding some recent gains during the recovery. This was followed by trade, transportation, and utilities jobs, which together declined by 62,000 in January. Education and health services jobs, payrolls, fell by 15,000. So, then we've got manufacturing, private employers and goods-producing industries also shed payrolls on net during the month. Both manufacturing and construction payrolls dropped in January by 21,000 and 10,000 respectively. So that's 31,000 plus 15,000 is 46,000, plus 62,000 is 108,000. Which means that we are left with 197,000 jobs. Probably not those exact numbers. There are probably other sectors that were affected by this, but just going on the simple numbers that Yahoo Finance tells us, that means that the private sector, the services industry, the retail markets, lost 197,000 jobs. Just like I told you was going to happen. Almost word for word, like I said. And it has nothing to do with the Irma-Gerd variant either. It has to do with the seasonality of things and, yes, the weak markets that you have going on right now. A January payroll report makes the first to capture a comprehensive picture of the impact of the Irma-Gerd variant has had on the U.S. economy and the labor market. The highly contagious variant, first discovered in the U.S. in late November, had not yet spread wide enough by the survey period for the December monthly report to generate a meaningful impact on the results. And even, really, because we were hearing about it in October. And even the latest jobs data may underestimate exactly how many individuals dropped out of the workforce, either temporarily or longer term due to illness or fears of becoming ill, some economists suggested. They are trying so hard. They're trying so hard to make this about the Irma-Gerd and not the incompetence in handling of the markets. And even the latest jobs data may underestimate exactly how many individuals. Let's see. So anyway, that's what we see coming off of here. I'm not going to bring this back out onto the story continues, but they are trying so hard to make this a COVID thing. Now, with that being said, you know, I got back from Georgia, and my job, my redacted job, was in the midst of an outbreak, and I got the Irma-Gerd variant because of it. But I was back to work after 10 days. I mean, that wasn't a job loss. I was back to work after 10 days. You know, this wasn't a loss on payrolls or anything else. And really, honestly, unless this was a seasonal job, like I said it was going to be, all the way back in the beginning of December, most of your jobs will say, okay, well, we know what's happening here. We know what the markets and the news are trying to jam down our fucking throats. We'll see you in 10 days. That's not going to be a thing where they're going to come out and say, hey, oh, you got the COVID? Oh, you're fired. Not while our market is begging for people the way that it is. But they're going to try. They're going to try to make it into that. Another one from CNBC on the same topic. Companies unexpectedly cut 301,000 jobs. Unexpectedly? Oh, I expected it. In January, as Irma Gerd slams labor market, the ADP says. From Jeff Cox. Companies cut jobs in January for the first time in more than a year. As the spread of the Pinko-Pox Irma Gerd variant appeared to hit hiring, payroll processing firm ADP reported on Wednesday. Private payrolls fell by 301,000 for the month, well below the Dow Jones estimate for growth of 200,000, and a market plunge from the downwardly revised 776,000 gain in November. Honk honk. It was the first time ADP reported negative job growth since December of 2020. So, hold on. Have I been reading this wrong for a day? Because now CNBC is suggesting that they were expecting a rise in 200,000 jobs. I thought that they were expecting the fall. I really did. But I thought they were expecting a fall of 200,000. Now it sounds like they missed their mark by over 500,000 jobs. Which seems like that would be even worse. Let's see. The pandemic-sensitive leisure and hospitality industry was responsible for more than half the decline. As 2/3 of the decline, we checked that out there. As companies reported a drop of 154,000. Trade, transportation, and utilities cut 62K, while other services category declined by 23,000. Manufacturing lost 21,000, and education and health had a drawdown of 15,000, and construction fell by 10,000. Service providing industries, rather, were responsible for 274,000 of the job losses, with goods producers falling by 27,000. So those are some more of the numbers off there. It looks like some of these numbers were mixed around a little bit between this and the Yahoo Finance article. But still, I mean, that is a market. And I'm a little bit surprised too, like the factory workers and the transport are dropping the way that they are. Because, yeah, trade, transportation, utilities. Given the fact that this is the wintertime, I don't think it's the utilities that were leading this. Transportation possibly, and trade, but... Well, I don't think that there are a lot of mechanics walking away from their jobs. I don't think there are a lot of electricians or plumbers or heating specialists, HVAC specialists. I don't think there are a lot of them walking away from their jobs either right now. I see a lot of transport going down there because people are getting pissed off with the regulations. But I mean, this is painful to watch, and all we keep hearing is, the Irma Gerd. It's the Irma Gerd variant. Grab one from Reuters. Irma Gerd depresses U.S. private payrolls in temporary setback to the labor market. Oh, it's a temporary setback. U.S. private payrolls fell for the first time in a year in January as soaring COVID-19 infections disrupted business operations, raising the risk of a sharp decline in employment that would deal a temporary setback to the labor market. Yeah, you're probably going to see a short setback to this. All right, so I'm actually we're going to talk about this for just a second here. This is probably going to be temporary. Reuters is correct. I would probably estimate at this point that we'll probably see a smaller drop for February and a small rise in March, and then come April and especially into May, you're going to start to see the market rise again because construction's going to start to open up. I mean, right now, it's almost impossible for anybody to go out and do road work. That's going to open up. Plus, on top of that, that's where your travel season is going to start. Easter is going to come up. I think Easter's in April this year. Let's have a look. Yep, April 17th. So, I mean, that's not as big of a travel holiday. It's not as big of a spend time with your family holiday. unless your family's really local, but there's still going to be some travel going for Easter. And then spring breaks that go along top of that. And companies in places, especially like Florida, Texas, Houston in Texas, Arizona, Los Angeles, are going to start hiring for the influx of tourists that are going to come in for spring break. For people who come out and pretend on social media that they're deadly terrified of the Irma Gerd variant, but then still go back and do body shots off each other as soon as spring break comes around. And the news is going to tell you about a massive outbreak in the first 2 weeks of May, by the way. But yes, you are going to start to see that pick back up in March and especially in April. That's a given. Because the businesses are going to have to start getting more competitive for their wages or ask people to work 70 to 80 hours a week. That did stay there. Yes, this is a temporary drop. We'll see what's happening with that. Let's talk about the White House. White House braces for weak jobs report after Irma Gerd surge coincides with data collection from Phil Mattingly. White House officials are bracing for an unusually weak January jobs report due to Irma Gerd cases peaking at the same time the monthly employment data survey data was collected. Several of President Biden's top economic officials have warned that the January jobs report, set for release on Friday, is likely to show an unusually low level of jobs gains, or even net losses tied to high numbers of sick people who called out of work. Yeah, that's not where you lose your payrolls at. With all the help wanted signs, and again, I don't know what it's like in the rest of the country. Apparently in a place called Big Bear, there are 2 jobs available, but like in southern Wisconsin, it's everywhere. Hiring now. Hey, we're hiring. Hey, you want to have some shrimp Alfredo over at the Olive Garden? Hey, as long as you're here on the phone before we put you in touch with the hostess who's going to take your order, hey, why don't you fill out an application? Come on, you know you want to. But those people, they're not going to wait for people to call sick out of work. They want these people to come back because they actually would work. They would actually come in and work. Some of them, I'm sure that they don't want them to come back, but turns out that the peak of the Irma Gerd cases coincided with the payroll data was being collected. Jared Burton. Are you seriously trying to spin it as we collected in the wrong week? Are you fucking serious right now? What a fucking joke. Jared Bernstein, a member of Biden's Council of Economic Advisors, said Monday in an interview on CNN Newsroom, if you were not at work, you were on unpaid leave. You're not counted as being on payroll. I wasn't on unpaid leave. I was on payroll. For the whole 10 days that I was out of work, I was on fucking payroll. And I let them know that too. Your company policies may vary. Check in with your HR advisor. The January jobs report will mark the first year of a foreign administration that boasted record single-year job growth. Not quite there, Skippy. In the first year, along with unemployment rate that dropped to 3.9% from 6.7% over the course of the 12-month period, as people started losing out on their unemployment because the state started shutting that shit down and realized that, hey, they might have to go the fuck back to work. What a joke. What a joke. What a way that they are trying to spin this. This is disgusting. Alright, I can't do this economy stuff anymore. Because I'm just sitting here. I don't have boots tall enough to wade through this bullshit that they're trying to feed us here. Let's watch Grandpa Dementia be led around like, well, Grandpa Dementia. And the Daily Wire has the ultimate caption on that one here of, all right, Grandpa, let's get you to bed. That is the so-called leader of the free world. I mean, he's not my leader, but that is the Hong Kong so-called leader of the free world. Let's talk about Texas. From KXAN to start with, Texas winter storm live updates. Freezing rain, sleet making roads icy across central Texas. If anybody sees McLeod or Seawall in the chat today, make sure that you wish them luck as they go through this, because both of them are in Texas, and I'm not sure where this is going to track through Texas at this point. This is from Billy Gates. As a winter storm barrels towards central Texas with freezing rain and sleet in store for the area, it will undoubtedly create slick roads and poor driving conditions for Thursday and potentially into Friday, as temperatures are forecast to stay below freezing. You know what we call that in January in Wisconsin? Wednesday. Once the weekend hits, the area will gradually warm up and any remaining ice should melt. This will be a brief storm compared to the historic 2021 blast that lasted about a week and led to mass power outages and water loss for days. A winter storm warning has been issued for the Austin area from 3 a.m. to 6 p.m. Thursday. Mason and San Saba counties have had the warning active from 6 p.m. Wednesday to 6 p.m. on Thursday. And then they've got some resources here from KXAM to help you prepare and stay weather aware during the storm. So hey, let's all go and check out all the stuff that totally doesn't benefit KXAN. Some live updates here. If you're looking at flying out of Austin Bergstrom International Airport today, you should contact your airline and check ABIA's online flight board. The winter storm has canceled just about every flight in and out of the airport. Well, if you're a responsible flyer, you should do that anyway. 6:50. Here's a slideshow of photos from around the area sent to us by viewers. The bottom line is that it's pretty icy pretty much everywhere, and it's best to stick around home and stay off the roads. Oh, jeez. I don't mean to laugh at these because they don't do this every year like I do. But it's just, I look at something like this and I'm like, oh man, you guys, are you serious? You're shutting your world down? But they are shutting the world down for this because they don't have the salt trucks. They don't have the plow trucks, the preparedness that we have up here, because we do this every other week for 2 months where I live. So I am sorry, Texas people. The flag has so much ice on it that it's frozen all spread out. The viewer reported a 1/4 inch of ice already in Georgetown. Yes. Yes, and like I say, I'm used to all of this. So that's what we see off of that. Let's grab one from CNN. Heavy snow falling as the storm system threatens to leave a treacherous mix of wintry precipitation for millions from plains to northeast. From Aya, Elam Rusi, and Haliyan. A mammoth storm dropping significant snowfall on Wednesday threatens to paralyze parts of the Midwest and South with ice, snow, and dangerously cold temperatures and power outages for days. More than 100 million people were under winter weather alerts, stretching from the Rockies to New England. Heavy snow has been falling since Tuesday night, impacting areas from Colorado to Michigan, and somehow missed us. I don't know how that happened. The Denver metro area picked up 8 to 12 inches by early Wednesday afternoon, and a few locations near Colorado Springs received more than 20 inches. Come on! I want to drive in the snow! Let me drive in the snow! One area in Illinois picked up more than 14 inches of snow, you bastards. You're right there! Ice accumulation is expected across the south, including in Texas, where 246 people died, most from hypothermia, after a winter storm last February, and the effects of the hard freeze could linger across several states into the weekend. Because we are CNN, and we must frighten you, so you pledge your fealty to the dementia-riddled Alzheimer's patient. A corridor of heavy ice accumulation exceeding a quarter inch is likely from Texas through the Ohio Valley. The Weather Prediction Center said on Wednesday locations impacted by snow and slash-or ice are expected to have temperatures remain below freezing and well below average for at least a couple days after the wintry precipitation. More than 4,000 flights in the areas affected have been canceled on Wednesday and Thursday because of the storm. According to FlightAware, Thursday is shaping up to be one of the 10 worst days for air travel of the past year, with more than 40% of flights already canceled at more than a dozen major U.S. airports from Texas to Ohio. So, hunker down, bunker down, get some blankets, build a fire, and just ride it out for a couple days, you guys. We do this all the time up here. It's not hard. Be a little bit prepared, get some blankets, you'll be good. But of course, now Abbott has got to do this because, well, Axios reports, Texas governor on storm, no guarantee there won't be power outages. Yeah, see, nobody can guarantee that. You can get your best people on there, out and going every day. You know, I'm a lineman for the county and I drive the main roads, searching for another overload. You can do all that stuff, and that's fine. But no, nobody can guarantee that there won't be any power outages. I mean, fuck, they can't guarantee that in the spring and summer here. Out of nowhere, right after I built the new computer here. And I found out on that day that a power outage or a sudden shutdown of my computer eliminates all my scenes from OBS. But yeah, we had like a 4-hour power outage, like right after I built this new computer. Right as I was getting ready to make breakfast on an electric range too. And I went out and I lit up the grill, and it was on a Monday too, so of course I couldn't go off and be at work for it. But I went out and I lit the grill and I made some scrambled eggs on a cast iron skillet right on the grill. Nobody can guarantee there won't be a power outage. They happen. But let's see what Yakub Reyes has to say. Texas Governor Greg Abbott on Tuesday said that no one can guarantee there won't be any power outages throughout the state as it braces for freezing weather. Why it matters. The Republican governor's remarks come just over 2 months after he promised the lights would stay on during the winter season, touting that the state was better equipped to endure the inclement weather. Abbott said that many scenarios could result in a blackout, adding that ice on the power lines could cause a power line to go down, or it could be ice on the trees that causes a tree to fall on power lines. Yes, those are all possibilities. Millions of people were left without power last February as Texas plunged into single-digit temperatures and sub-zero wind chill in the midst of global warming. Let's see, more than 200 people died during the winter storm. Not enough has been done to address one of the underlying causes of the blackouts, namely preparing gas facilities for ice-cold conditions. Axios' Asher Price writes what they're saying. No one can guarantee that there won't be power outages, Abbott said in a news conference, because nobody can. Because nobody can, not even under the best of conditions. Accidents happen. People drive into power poles. Gas lines break, especially when they are not set up for this kind of winter, this kind of cold. Nobody can guarantee this. But, of course, when you see this story traded around on Twitter, it's, well, Abbott wasn't preparing for another winter storm and now he's getting one. He was too busy building his racist wall down there and making sure women are chained to the stove because they can't get an abortion. Alright, that's what we see coming off of that here. From NBC7 San Diego, Shifting gears here, let's talk about the vax mandate. Army to immediately start discharging vaccine refusers. From Lolita C. Baldor. The Army said on Wednesday it will immediately begin discharging soldiers who refuse to get the jab, putting more than 3,300 service members at risk of being thrown out soon. Meanwhile, while we're trying to start World War III. The Army's announcement makes it the final military service to lay out its discharge policy for vaccine refusers. The Marines, Air Force, and Navy have already discharged active duty troops for entry-level or entry-level personnel, not for entry-level personnel at boot camps for refusing the shots. So far, the Army has not discharged any. According to data released by the Army last week, more than 3,300 soldiers have refused to get the vaccine. The Army has said more than 3,000 soldiers have been issued official written reprimands, which suggests they're already identified in the disciplinary process, and some of them could be among the first to be discharged. The Pentagon has ordered all service members, active duty, National Guard, and reserves to get the jab, saying it's critical to maintain the health and readiness of the force. The pinko pox cases continue to surge around the country as a result of the Ermagerd variant. Roughly 97% of all Army soldiers have gotten at least one shot. More than 3,000 have requested medical or religious exemptions. Christine Wormuth, the Army Secretary, issued the directive on Wednesday, ordering commanders to begin involuntary separation proceedings against those who refuse the shots and do not have a pending or approved exemption. And once again, I don't like the fact that they're required to do this, but, with all, like we keep hearing, with all the other shots that they've had to take, without knowing what's in them, without even knowing what they're being inoculated for, just, hey, stand in the hole and drop your pants and... You did sign a contract. And that did include, by the way, and I really wish that some of these guys would read their contracts when they sign, but you did sign a contract saying the government could use your body for whatever it is that they want. I hate the fact that they're using it for this. I really do. But you did sign that contract. I kind of wish some lawyer somewhere would change the medical side of that contract, because that does seem a little bit malevolent and evil. But as for right now, the people that are in this, they said, okay, well, you can put whatever you want chemically into me. You can use my body for defense as a human shield. You can use it to go drive the trucks. You can do it to this. And we are swearing an oath to uphold the Constitution because of it. And get our big payout in 4 years or whatever the fuck it is. I hate that part of the Army too, by the way. The fact that they can do that with anything. That they do medical experiments. And I mean, we've heard about it forever. I mean, it's not like this is a new thing either. King of the Hill criticized it in the 90s. That's part of the reason that Bill was so fat and lazy and everything else, was because he went through a medical experiment to make a super soldier that could stay out in the Arctic cold by gaining weight, body hair, losing some of the hair off the top, and being able to hibernate forever. And while he was in the test, which was mostly redacted, after Dale got the unredacted test back, they found out that Bill had been injected by high doses of the deadly drug placebo. I think it's made by the Pfizer Corporation. But yeah, I mean, it's not just the pinko pox jab. And it's not just like your anti-malarial for when you go into a malaria-ridden zone, or whatever inoculation you need to go into your zone. They do experiment. They do medical experiment on the privates and the soldiers. It happens. You sign your body over to the government for your term, for your enlistment. I just wish they wouldn't do it that way, because that kind of sucks. From the Hill. Let's get rid of this advertisement that the ad blocker couldn't get rid of. We could go to 1-800-Flowers or Sherry's Berries. Canadian official says significant element from the U.S. involved in anti-vaccine mandate protests. So there it is, right there. Hey, They're doing protests in Ottawa because the U.S. is telling them to do so, eh? Dude, Austin is an utter POS for reasons beyond not taking proper care of soldiers. But, well, it's 8:23. We don't have time to get into that one. From Monique Beals. Protests against Canada's pinko pox measures have drawn a significant element from the U.S., Ottawa police said on Wednesday. They have converged in our city, eh? And there are plans for more to come, Ottawa Police Chief Peter Slowly said, according to the Washington Post. Well, that's funny because I was to the understanding the borders were closed to anybody who wasn't vaccinated. And, oh, by the way, only people who aren't vaccinated can be evil anti-vaxxers. The police chief said participants in the protests, including locals, were putting our city and our residents, our partners and our officers at great risk, eh? Police said some protesters had received financial backing and other support from across the border, the Post reported. Well, yeah, we can put anything we want into a GoFundMe. Anywhere in the world, too, by the way. And I stand for what it is that they had to say in Ottawa. What started as a freedom convoy protest against the vaccine mandate for truckers has developed into a broader demonstration against Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's policies, reaching the capital of Ottawa. Protests have blocked the Canadian streets and shut down businesses. The past 6 days, reports indicated that one-lane traffic in each direction along part of the U.S.-Canada border in Alberta has been opened after protesters blocked traffic there since Saturday, according to the Post. Canadian officials have condemned the protesters' blockade. Hey, they're not doing what the government tells them to do. And we can't threaten them with health care because we told them that we would just give them free health care forever, eh? So we condemn them because you're doing naughty, eh? What may have begun as a peaceful assembly quickly turned into an unlawful blockade, Alberta's Royal Canadian Mounted Police said on Tuesday in a statement. Yeah, but you closed the border for, what, a year? I would call that an unlawful blockade. Oh no, it's the government doing it. That's fine. Ottawa's police said the protests have prompted several criminal investigations into threatening and illegal behavior, such as defacing the National War Memorial, agent provocateur, and intimidating police and others, including staffers at a local soup kitchen, with no police report, the Post added. Hey, we are trying to be responsible, lawful, ethical, and measured, Slowly said. The longer this goes on, the more I'm convinced that there may not be a police solution in this demonstration, The protest began over an announcement made last year when the U.S. and Canada mandated the pinko pox jab for truck drivers, a policy that went into effect last month. But on Saturday, the Canadian Trucking Alliance said that many people at the protest, which had developed into a broader demonstration, do not have a connection to the trucking industry. No, but they stand by that, and they're sick of being told. A lot of the people that are in Ottawa right now are people that were told, just get your 2 shots and this will be fine. Get your 1 Johnson & Johnson, get your 2 Pfizer or Moderna, and this will be fine, this will be over. Just go out and get them right away in a hurry, and this will all be over. And now they're standing in line to get their second booster shot, realizing that they got lied to. And now they're getting against the government. And unless they're troll fucking shillbots for the Biden administration over on Twitter, they think that, they're starting to look back at this and say, when does this end? We've been told for 2 years, just 2 weeks to slow the curve. Well, we'll just keep going until there are no more cases. Well, there'll never be no more cases. Hey, look, there's a new variant. Oh, well, get the vaccine and we go back to normal. Oh, well, we can't go back to normal because other people didn't get the vaccine. Oh, but by the way, here, come and have this booster and then you can get back to normal. But you know what? Even if you have the booster, still wear the mask. And oh, let's get this other booster. And people are starting to look at this and say, where the fuck does it end? That's what this demonstration has turned into. We've got some video from the scene. Let's grab this one here. Man in Ottawa melts down after the honking from the Freedom Convoy. Let's listen.
Get out of my fucking city! But the thing is, get out of my fucking city! Hey, fuck you!
Oh, the Rees made it right there. Ree! Get out of my fucking city!
I lost my mind because I haven't slept in 5 fucking days! It has to fucking stop.
The honking will continue until freedom improves. Simple as that.
Fuck you!
Fuck me? Fuck you.
Fuck you!
Join us.
Get out of my fucking city! But the thing is, get out of my fucking city! Hey, fuck you! I lost my mind because I haven't slept in 5 fucking days! It has to fucking stop.
The honking will continue until freedom improves. Simple.
I love that.
Simple as that.
Fuck you!
Fuck me? Fuck you.
Fuck you!
Join us.
And the honking will continue until morale improves. But there again, we're sitting in a situation where these people are going to be called evil for trying to come back out for freedom. And, you know, what did AOC Biscuit say? Well, protests are supposed to be uncomfortable, puppy. Well, here, the protest is uncomfortable. With the exception of a few agent provocateurs, there's no property damage to this protest. They blocked off the roads. They've honked, but there's no property damage, anything to this. But these are the evil fascists and Nazis. Let's keep going. From CNN, Ottawa's police chief says the city might need military help to end the trucker protests. Well, yeah, that's part of this is because the semi-wrecker drivers have told the RCMP that they can go and fuck themselves. Straight out loud. Which they can and they should. They should definitely go and fuck themselves. But let's see what Paula Newton has to say. The ongoing protest by Canadian truckers over the Pinko Pox health restrictions is now an unlawful occupation of the country's capital. So when it goes against a left-leaning government, then it's illegal occupation. But when it's sitting back against a right-leaning government, protests are supposed to be uncomfortable, puppy. We're looking at every single option, including military aid, Ottawa's police chief Peter Slowly said during a press briefing. He underscored the fact that such a request for help would be rare, and that it could only recall the military being called in to quell civil disobedience twice in the last century. Well, let's keep it that way. Though the number of trucks and protesters in the city has dwindled, Slowly warned residents he expects more will return to the capital by the weekend. The truckers oppose a recent mandate requiring drivers entering Canada to be fully vaccinated or face testing and quarantine requirements. The group is also protesting against the other health restrictions, like mask mandates and Pinko Pox lockdowns. During an hours-long community briefing, Slowly said his police service could not realistically stop thousands of protesters or hundreds of trucks and cars from entering Ottawa. There is no lawful authority to seal a city, eh? There's no practical capability to seal a city of this size. Slowly said, noting it would take police force of 50,000 to even attempt it. slowly also claimed that U.S. money and organizers were involved in the so-called Freedom Convoy protest. We're now aware of a significant element from the U.S. that have been involved in the funding, the organizing, and the demonstrating, eh? They have converged in our city, and there are plans for more to come, eh? Slowly claimed, adding, the longer this goes on, the more I'm convinced there may not be a police solution to this demonstration, eh? A GoFundMe page for the Freedom Convoy has now raised nearly $8 million US, making it one of the highest earning causes in Canada, according to the organization. City officials say they are considering bringing legal action against GoFundMe for helping to fund illegal protests. Jeez. City officials say they're considering bringing legal action against GoFundMe for helping to fund an illegal protest, but worry legal action would take several weeks and would not help to resolve the issue. CNN contacted GoFundMe for comment and has not received a response. Okay. Now, there was GoFundMe that was set up for transport and transportation costs for the riots in Minneapolis, for the St. George riots, for the riots in D.C., for the riots in New York, for the riots in Portland, over and over again, for the riots in Kenosha and Chicago and Atlanta, where Sequoia Turner died, and Madison. All of which came with significant amounts of property damage. But this is an illegal organization. This is an illegal demonstration. All right, what else do we have here? From Reuters, let's shift gears here. Let's talk about, Zuckerberg's follies. You know what I just realized? I don't have thing I like and thing I hate today. We might have to skip that today. I was so concerned about getting all the rest of the stories out here, I didn't throw up thing I like, thing I hate. Shit. Well, that's lame. I'll figure something out. Meta shares plunged 20% as Facebook owner sees slowing growth. From Elizabeth Culliford and Nivedita Balu. So basically, his Chinese counterparts are already looking into this and saying, Oh, Ramdai, you keep selling the same data over and over again. We need new data for new advertisements. Let's see. We got that. Facebook owner Meta Platforms Incorporated shares plunged 20% late on Wednesday as the social media company missed on Wall Street earnings estimates and posted a weaker than expected forecast. Meta said it faced hits from Apple Incorporated's privacy changes to its operating system, which have made it harder for brands to target and measure their ads on Facebook and Instagram, and from macroeconomic issues like supply chain disruptions. The after-hours slump in Meta shares vaporized $200 billion worth of its market value, with another $15 billion in value lost from peers Twitter Incorporated, Snap Incorporated, and Pinterest. Shares of Alphabet, which posted record quarterly sales that topped expectations on Tuesday, were down 1.3%. Meta, which has the second largest digital ad platform on the world after Google, had previously warned its advertising business faced significant uncertainty in the fourth quarter. The company forecast first quarter revenue in the range of $27 billion to $29 billion. Analysts were expecting $30.15 billion, according to IBES data from Refinitiv. Apple's changes to its operating software gives users the preference to allow tracking of their activity online, making it harder for advertisers who rely on data to develop new products and know their market. So, 1, ha! 2, ha ha! 3, ha 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 ha! And, well, that's it. The Verge, Facebook lost daily users for the first time ever last quarter. From Alex Heath. Since its inception, Facebook user growth has essentially been up to and to the right. But on Wednesday, it reported its first ever quarterly decline of daily users globally, along with lower than expected ad growth that sent its stock plunging roughly 20%. The massive stock drop, which instantly wiped out roughly $200 billion in market value, shows that Facebook's corporate rebrand to Meta isn't enough to distract investors from the problems in its core business of social media. Not only was user growth across Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp essentially flat last quarter, but the main Facebook app lost 1 million daily users in North America, probably from censorship or banning. Where it makes the most money through advertising, that drop led to an overall decrease in daily users of Facebook globally, which a company spokesperson confirmed is the first sequential decline in the company's history. That drop to 1.929 billion daily users from 1.93 the prior quarter is likely a reflection of Facebook's increasing lack of relevance with young people. Meta doesn't break out Instagram's user numbers, but the daily users across all of its apps nudged higher to 2.82, adding just 10 million users from the third quarter. Meta is still wildly profitable. Please buy more Meta stock. It made nearly $40 billion in profit last year alone, mostly from advertising, but it's also losing billions on Reality Labs, the division responsible for the Quest VR headset, VR software, forthcoming AR glasses, and other metaverse-related initiatives. Don't worry. We're gonna make it better. We're gonna make it right. Just buy more glasses and stuff. So, yeah. Which they should too, and that's not an insignificant number either of daily users. And I do have a Facebook personal one. I've got a fan page too, which people can watch on that over there. I believe that is Edgeworld 101 is the extension over on Facebook. If you guys want to follow that, if you actually want to get on Facebook for that. But I open my Facebook like once a month. I scroll for about 2 minutes, I say, these people still suck, they're still boring. And I turn it back off. I get rid of all my notifications too. For whatever reason, it tells me like when my sister posts something or my mom and dad go back and forth with each other on there and comment on each other's stuff or anything else like that. Or a few of the people that I know as well. It gives me alerts when they post, but other than that, it's just because I don't post anything on the personal page. I don't really post anything on the fan page either, which I know I should. I know, Elaine, I should be posting more on my fan page, but I don't really post anything on my fan page. So, yeah, that's it. From CNBC, Facebook says Apple iOS privacy change will result in $10 billion revenue hit this year. From Kif Leswing, Meta said on Wednesday that the privacy change Apple made to its iOS operating system last year will decrease the social media company's sales this year by about $10 billion. We believe the impact... Oh, that's not Zuckerberg. I thought that was Zuckerberg. We believe the impact of iOS overall is a headwind in our business in 2022. Meta CFO David Weiner said on a call with analysts after the company's fourth quarter earnings report, "It's on the order of $10 billion, so it's a pretty significant headwind for our business." Facebook's admission is the most concrete data point so far on the impact to the advertising industry of Apple's app tracking and transparency feature, which reduces targeting capabilities by limiting advertisers from accessing an iPhone user identifier. Meta shares sank 23% in extended trading on Wednesday after the company is warned about numerous challenges and came up short on user number. Facebook said first quarter revenue will be $27 billion to $29 billion, while analysts were expecting that number to exceed $30 billion. It's not our fault though, it's Apple's fault. Just go blame Apple for this. All right, speaking of big business here, Jeff Zucker over at CNN decided that he didn't want to be the CEO of CNN anymore, which, once again, it makes you wonder what it is that they're trying to cover up with this. Ooh, look at the markets. Dow down 192 points, a little over an hour in. The S&P down 54 points, a little over an hour in, on a much smaller market cap. NASDAQ is down 1.86%. Ooh. They're hurting. CNN President Jeff Zucker resigns over consensual relationship with key lieutenant. From Brian Stelter, who's younger than me, by the way, and Oliver Darcy. CNN Worldwide President Jeff Zucker, the influential news executive who reshaped the iconic network, announced Wednesday morning that he has resigned from his position effective immediately. Zucker's stunning announcement came less than 2 months after he fired primetime anchor Chris Cuomo for improperly advising his brother, then New York Governor Andy Cuomo, about how to address sexual misconduct allegations. Ooh, I knew it was the right choice to read this from CNN. I knew this was the right choice because we get to see their spin right on this and them trying to change this out and make this benefit them somehow. As part of the investigation into Chris Cuomo's tenure at CNN, I was asked about a consensual relationship with my closest colleagues. Sometimes I have worked with for more than 20 years. Zucker told employees in a memo, I acknowledge the relationship evolved in recent years. I was required to disclose it when it began, but I didn't. I was wrong. As a result, I'm resigning today. Zucker did not name his colleague, probably because she's underage. But the relationship is with Alison Gollust as key lieutenant for the last 2 decades. Gollust is remaining at CNN. I'm sure that's not the relationship that they have to talk about. I'm sure it's the 15-year-old coffee girl. Zucker and Gollust began working together at NBC in 1998. They rose through the ranks at the network together, and when Zucker joined CNN, Gollust was among the first hire. Just before coming to CNN, Gollust had worked briefly as comms director for Andy Cuomo. She is currently executive vice president and chief marketing officer at CNN. So she fucked the boss and then got a president or vice president marketing job. In a statement of her own, Gollust said, Jeff and I have been close friends and professional partners for over 20 years. Recently, our relationship changed during the Pinko fucking pox. I regret that we didn't disclose it at the right time. I'm incredibly proud of my time at CNN, and I look forward to continuing the great work that we do every day. Zucker and Gollust both divorced from their partners years ago. Rumors that their close working relationship had morphed into a romantic one have long been the subject of speculation. Really? Because I've never heard of this before. Not that I really cared. And have occasionally surfaced in gossip columns. The journalist Katie Couric, who once worked closely with Zucker, but later had a falling out with him, even hinted at it in her tell-all memoir released last year. Katie Couric wrote a book. Did anybody read it? News of Zucker's resignation sent shockwaves inside CNN and across the industry. CNN employees had no idea what was coming before Zucker's email landed in their inboxes shortly after 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Zucker spoke with some of CNN's top executives on Wednesday morning, shortly before he announced his departure. He indicated that he would have liked to stay on for a short period to help with a smooth transition, but Warner Media wanted otherwise. There is something else going on with this. This is not about him and Alison Gollust, or whatever the fuck her name is. Maybe I should actually go figure out what her name is. Yeah, Alison Gollust. This is not about him and Alison Gollust. Otherwise, Warner Media would have given him the chance to come back out and disclose this and come out and said, okay, well, you can make this right. Make the announcement. Go tell everybody. No, there is something else going on with this. And of course, like I said, with my next question, the same thing that I had to ask when they brought that Capitol Police cop back on there, Michael, whatever, Fanone, when they brought him on to be an analyst, is, of course, the first question is, whoever replaces Zucker here, is this man going to have to provide his own underage hooker, or will CNN provide one for him? There is something else going on with this, though. From The Blaze, Some stuff from AOC Biscuit. Actually, he should continue to make their lives as difficult as possible. AOC wants senators like Kirsten Sinema to suffer. From Alex Nitzberg. Socialist Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez D-Twitch wants Senate Majority Leader Chuck U. Schumer to make life as difficult as possible, puppy, for lawmakers like Democratic Senator Kirsten Sinema of Arizona. Sinema reportedly complained to Schumer last night about the Senate's slow voting process. Could we have some discipline in the votes ever, Sinema said to Schumer. According to Bloomberg, you're in charge. Occasional Cortex reacted to the reported comments by declaring that Schumer should seek to make life very hard for senators. Actually, puppy, he should continue to make their lives as difficult as possible and treat them the way that they treat, say, public housing residents, okay, puppy? Or parents who rely on CTC. When they improve, maybe process can improve too. Why should we make the lives of obstructionists easier, puppy? The progressive socialist congresswoman tweeted. Cancel vacation. Vote on weekends. Vote for hours. Vote last minute, puppy. Call votes when senators are courting billionaires of fundraisers, okay? They make it apoplectic, but there's nothing compared to the people that they're forcing to sleep without heat in the winter or losing the right to vote, puppy. She added in another tweet. '80s Kid says he had to delete a comment here, but I can still see it. And I can put it back out there to the world. Because it didn't get deleted off the Restream app. I can see it, and it was fucking funny. You should be proud of that. You shouldn't be deleting that shit. You should be proud of that. I like that shit. Do more of that shit. Alright, what else do we have here? So those are the tweets right there. Sinema and Joe Manchin of West Virginia, who have both expressed their support for the filibuster, steadfastly refused to back their party's push to change the Senate rules in order to ram through so-called voting rights legislation last month. During an interview with MSDNC in January, well, yeah, that's going to be some intelligent content. Occasional Cortex criticized Sinema, saying, "The senator has demonstrated that she is an obstacle to the right to vote, okay, puppy? In the U.S., she's not an ally or on civil rights, okay?" So, there we go. A person who, by the way, swore to and voted against the infrastructure bill because it didn't have the Build Back Bullshit bill attached to it and didn't go far enough, is complaining about somebody else being an obstructionist. I know I saw that going off in the comment section too. That. Okay, puppy? Alright, here's one. Here's a bombshell for you. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at what I'm going to do for Thing I Hate Today. I think it's going to be that one. Because I didn't prep because, well, no, it's going to be that one. That's going to be the one. That's Thing I Hate Today. I knew what Thing I Like was going to be. I just didn't know what Thing I Hate was going to be. It's going to be that one. All right, let's have a look here. From the New York Post, notes reveal that Biden admin wasn't prepared for Afghan evacuation before the fall of Kabul. From Mark Lungariello and Callie Pattison. I can make sure that I don't know if she has Downs or some sort of head trauma. I know she can have some sort of throat trauma, but that's a different story. Heyo! The White House was left scrambling to cobble together a plan to evacuate Americans and allied Afghans mere hours before the Taliban took control of the war-torn country's capital last year, leaked documents show. Notes on August 14th Situation Room meeting obtained by Axios show the Biden admin officials were still discussing and assigning fundamental actions to get thousands of people out of Afghanistan as Taliban forces carried out their final offensive amid the U.S. troop withdrawal. State will work to identify as many countries as possible to serve as transit points. Transit points need to be able to accommodate U.S. citizens, Afghan nationals, third country nationals, and other evacuees. The summary said, then added in bold, action state immediately. The document added that the U.S. Embassy in Kabul would tell locally employed staff to begin to register their interest in relocation to the U.S. and prepare immediately for the departure. The document further revealed that the admin was planning to evacuate at least 5,000 individuals from Afghanistan per day and would prioritize U.S. citizens and their family members, followed by U.S. government employees and contractors, embassy staff, Afghan contractors working with the embassy, CIA priority partners, which means little kids for their people over at CNN and in the government. Oops, did I say that out loud? And special immigrant visa applicants who are post-chief of mission and have approved I-360 petitions. The meeting was chaired by White House Homeland Security Advisor Liz Sherwood Randall and included Joint Chiefs of Staff Vice Chairman General John Hyten. It was held on the afternoon of the 14th and lasted an hour. Hours after it adjourned, the Taliban entered Kabul and its fighters lounged in the vacated presidential palace. National Security spokesperson Emily Horn told Axios it wouldn't comment on leaked documents, but said, cherry-picked notes from one meeting do not reflect the months of work underway at the time. Earlier that summer, we launched Operation Allies Refuge and had worked with Congress to pass legislation that gave us greater flexibility to quickly relocate Afghan partners, Horn said. It was because of this type of planning and other efforts that we were able to facilitate the evacuation of more than 120,000 Americans, legal permanent residents, vulnerable Afghans, and other partners. The Taliban conquest of Kabul led to scenes of chaos and panic at the capital's international airport as thousands of Afghans swarmed the terminal building and runway looking for precious seats on flights out of the country. The Brandon administration was heavily criticized for the withdrawal, which failed to evacuate all American citizens and Afghan allies before the August 31st deadline set by the Taliban, and by the way, some of them are still in there. Josh Hawley slammed the White House Tuesday for what he saw as a lack of accountability in the aftermath of the withdrawal. So it does not appear that the New York Post is putting the documents out there. I would love to see these documents. But there again, I do understand the fact that there is the possibility of somebody getting killed for them, because there may be some active duty or some sort of active measure or military planning involved in this. But I would love to see these documents and just have a look off of this and see where it goes and what it means. Here's one from Fox for you guys. Lockdowns only reduce COVID-19 mortality by 0.2%. Study finds lockdown should be rejected out of hand. From Paul Best. Lockdowns during the first pinko-pox wave in the spring of 2020 only reduced pinko-pox mortality by 0.2% in the US and Europe, according to a Johns Hopkins University meta-analysis of several studies. While this meta-analysis concludes that lockdowns have had little to no public health effects, they have imposed enormous economic and social costs where they have been adopted, the researchers wrote. In consequence, lockdown policies are ill-founded and should be rejected by a pandemic policy instrument. The researchers, Johns Hopkins University economics professor Steve Hanke, Lund University economics professor Lars Jonung, and special advisor to the Copenhagen Center for Political Studies, Jonas Herby, analyzed the effects of the lockdown measures, such as school shutdowns, business closures, and mask mandates, on pinko-pox deaths. We find little to no evidence that mandated lockdowns in Europe and the US had a noticeable effect on the pinko-pox mortality rates, the researchers wrote. But if it saves just one life, Researchers also examined shelter-in-place orders, finding that they reduced COVID mortality by 2.9%. Studies that looked only at shelter-in-place orders found that they reduced the pinko-pox mortality by 5.1%, but studies that looked at shelter-in-place orders, along with other lockdown measures, found that the shelter-in-place orders actually increased COVID mortality by 2.8%. The researchers concluded that limiting gatherings may have actually increased the pinko-pox mortality. Plus, going into poverty, getting depressed, losing your job, alcoholism, drug addiction, shit like that. Shelter-in-place orders may isolate an infected person at home with his or her family, where he or she risks infecting family members with a higher viral load, causing more severe illness, the researchers wrote. But often lockdowns have limited people's access to safe outdoor places such as beaches, parks, and zoos, or included outdoor mask mandates or strict outdoor gathering restrictions, pushing people to meet at less safe indoor places. So, and I mean, these evil right-wingers, like Johns Hopkins University in Maryland. These evil people are coming out and saying that the government didn't have the people's best interests in mind. All right. Let's talk Spotify. We might have to go after that. So let's do these two, and then we'll do a thing I like and thing that I hate, and head out of here for the day. From the Daily Wire, he can't be put into a box, and he can't be controlled. Tulsi Gabbard knows why everyone wants to silence Joe Rogan, from Virginia Cruta. Former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard said Wednesday that the main reason that so many people want to silence podcast juggernaut Joe Rogan is that he can't be put into a box or controlled. Gabbard joined Fox News host Fucker Carlson to talk about many attempts to get Rogan silenced, deplatformed, or at the very least presented with a disclaimer, and she argued that all Americans should be worried when they see people being censored or bullied into censoring themselves. Video? No video. You know who is for censorship? Weak people are for censorship. I can't handle what you're throwing at me. Shut up or else. Strong people don't behave that way. Only the weak. Carlson began as he prepared to introduce Gabbard. Everyone knows that, and they can smell it. And the reason Joe Rogan is successful because he's not weak. That is the truth. It is hard to believe. Imagine that they're going to pull Rogan off the air, but you don't know once the ball starts rolling. What do you make of the attempts to censor Rogan? Carlson asked. It is yet the latest indicator about the real danger we are facing as a society. Right now, in this country, is that this fundamental freedom guaranteed to every one of us as Americans. This freedom of speech is being threatened, Gabbard replied. People are being intimidated. Their financial security is being threatened. They're being censored or being intimidated into censoring themselves. This freedom is the fabric of our Constitution. And the fact that this is what we are facing, that the powers that be decide, if we don't like the things that you're saying, then we'll find a way to silence you or censor you. This is what every single American should be afraid of, because we need to have the confidence in America that we can express ourselves, that we can have the freedom to speak without the threat of punishment looming over us. Gabbard continued, that's right there is literally the difference between living in a democracy or living in a dictatorship. So that's what Gabbard had to say about this. And I mean, I like Gabbard for some of the things that she says. I don't like a lot of her social fabric policies or redistributionist policies. I think she's backed off of some of them a little bit, but the fact that she got there still makes me not trust her. But, it's another one of those things where when she does something right, I'll say, hey, good job. Have a cookie. I still don't want you anywhere near the rungs of power, but have a cookie. You said something that made sense. All right, and the last one we'll do on Rogan, and then we'll do Thing I Like and Thing That I Hate, and head out of here for the day. God damn it. Comes to us from Fox Business. David Crosby, Stephen Stills request Spotify pull music from the platform. From Nate Day. So apparently, if this goes through, then what I said the other day will not be true, and you will not be able to listen to Neil Young when he is with Crosby, Stills, and Nash anymore. Which is, by the way, lame, because I like the Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Sometimes Young channel on Spotify, but this is their choice. It's what they want to do. I don't need to listen to them. I can find other stuff to listen to. It is lame. I don't like it, but do what you think is best, David and Steven. Do it for the man. This is from Nate Day. 2 more rock legends have joined Spotify boycott. I would say 1 rock legend. Stephen Stills was tremendously talented, and he was the backbone that held that group up. Don't let anybody fool you for that. David Crosby and Stephen Stills have joined their Crosby, Stills, and Nash and Young bandmates that asked the platform to remove their music. The move was made in opposition to the coronavirus-related content published via Rogan's podcast, which is exclusive to the streamer. We support Neil Young, and we agree with him that there's dangerous disinformation being aired on Spotify. Joe Rogan podcast, Crosby 80, Still 77, and Graham Nash 80 said in a joint statement shared on Twitter on Wednesday. Nash already had his music removed. Fox Business is doing it again. And by the way, don't trust them as your right-wing news source. They're just as bad as the rest of it. Nash removed his, I should say. I was thinking Young for whatever reason. No, Neil Young got his ass fired. While we always value alternative points of view, clearly not, knowingly spreading disinformation during this global pandemic has a deadly consequence. The rockers continued until real action is taken to show that concern for humanity must be balanced with commerce. We don't want our music or the music we made together to be on the same platform. So, we always value alternative points of view, but shut this point of view down because we don't value this one. Well, and there again. The shame of it is I like Stephen Stills' music, I like Southern Cross, I like Sweet Judy Blue Eyes. I enjoy the music from the 3 of them together. Neil Young, there are a couple songs I like as well. But I don't need to give them a listen. I don't need to reward them with my listen. And if you still want to listen to Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Sometimes Young, that would be your business. But that's what we have coming off of that. Alright, and with that, it is 6 after 9, which means I need to jump up out of this chair and go to work. But before we do that, we are going to finish out with a thing that I like and a thing that I hate. And Chalaga already knows what the thing I like is going to be because I talked to him. He DM'd me yesterday, and I talked to him about it yesterday. We were talking about the ice cream machines from McDonald's, because apparently those are made right down in Rockford, which is right down the road from where I live. I didn't know that. But they're super proprietary, so nobody can go back out and fix them. We covered that last year. And a lot of your big vehicles, even some of your small vehicles, are getting to the same point. They're getting super proprietary, and you're going to see a lot more of this with EV too, by the way. That's one of the disadvantages to EV, is that you're not going to be able to go to your independent shop and get it fixed, because everything in it is proprietary. The software is proprietary. The software is going to be what fucks up for the most part in the beginning of it. A lot of the tooling and everything for it is proprietary. Well, now we have a bill that's going through the Senate to help try to address some of that with at least ag equipment for John Deere. From NBC News, thing I like today, Senate introduces bill to allow farmers to fix their own equipment. Which, I don't know if I'm giving away any industry secrets here, but they're already doing that. From Luis Matsakis and Olivia Salone. Scott Potmissel, a fourth-generation farmer who raises cattle in Sand Hills, Nebraska, recently bought a John Deere tractor that's over 25 years old. He said he purposely went looking for the older device in 2020 because he believed it would be easier to repair than newer models, which can often only be fixed by authorized dealers. I visited with my local mechanic and asked which tractor he could fix, and it was a 1995 one. Potmissel said, new equipment is getting so complicated and loaded with sensors. If one of them goes out, you can't even start your tractor. You need a technician and software to identify the problem. A bill introduced Tuesday in the Senate could help make it easier for farmers like Potmissel to repair their tractors independently. The legislation would require agriculture equipment manufacturers to make spare parts, instruction manuals, and software codes publicly available, allowing farmers to fix devices by themselves or hire a third-party mechanic of their own choosing. The bill's sponsor, Senator John Tester, said in an interview that he has heard from many farmers who reported that difficulties repairing equipment hurt their businesses. We've got to figure out ways to empower farmers to make sure that they can stay on the land. This is one of the ways to do it, Tester said. I think that the more we can empower farmers to be able to control their own destiny, which is what this bill does, the safer food chains are going to be. Tester said farmers often reported that company-authorized repairs were costly and could be handled only by licensed technicians, who may take days or even weeks to show up. That type of delay can have serious impacts on the delicate harvest cycle for planting and reaping crops. After May 10th here, if you don't plant my soybeans, I'm losing yield, said Jared Wilson, who took over his family's farm near Butler, Missouri in 2017 and struggled to fix his tractor after it broke down. If you have 2 days of lost productivity and then it rains, you don't get back in the field for 2 weeks, a few of those per season really adds up. So, there are some things that go with this, and a lot of this is going and trying to do this the legal way. Now, and as I said, as I see in the chat here, black market parts, software manuals for the repair. Farmers have always repaired their own equipment. And those are trade secrets that, probably shouldn't be out there. Luckily, this is a small channel as we say this, but when we do, when we look at, when we look at all this here, and we look at all this, first off, I think right to repair is a fantastic idea because there is way too much proprietary software out there. Now, Tester is going to have to go back and fight with the EPA because I know that part of what is in this, and I haven't read the entire bill, but I know part of what's in this is to, like they said at the top, one sensor goes out and the whole tractor is shut down. The EPA is not going to want to change that because a lot of that has to do with the after-treatment system, the system with which they use to make sure that your emissions are controlled, which originally wasn't supposed to be on off-road equipment, but they changed that. I believe they changed that during the end of the Obama admin, if I remember correctly. But regardless, yeah, they're going to need this. But, it's a lot of the times with some of this stuff, you can either find a way to band-aid it back out and do this. You can go out and buy the parts and fix it yourself in most places. But you don't have the software to clear out the code, and without the code cleared out, your tractor's still not going to start. So you still need to have the proprietary software to do this. And I know that there are a lot of places that have partnerships with places that can do the proprietary stuff as well, but it's to have it out in the open, and it's the same thing with the ice cream machine, just like Chilaga and I were talking about yesterday, with the right to repair. The reason that the machine is always broken in the McDonald's is because they can't go to any old third-party repair center in whatever town the McDonald's happens to be in. It has to be a licensed repair center that is specifically licensed by the company that manufactures the ice cream machines to come back out and do this. It's the same thing. And because it's franchise and McDonald's has to follow the franchise rules, then they don't get the option to go and do something else. They have to do it that way. So that's a thing that I like, to come back out here and open this back up. And it's not just with equipment. It is the ice cream machine. It's the pickup. There are certain things on my pickup that I can't do. because I don't have IDS software anymore. I don't have access to IDS anymore. I don't have software for it anymore. There are certain things that I'm not going to be able to do on my pickup because I can't get into the system to do it. For the most part, what's nice about the 302 V8, the Coyote V8, is they have made everything accessible. Like, I can climb up in that engine and change all the spark plugs, do a head gasket job, do a bottom end job, do a radiator hose and shit like that all on my own. But a lot of the finicky software stuff, especially for emissions, you don't have the access to. Only Ford has the access to. And now we'll do a thing that I hate. From the Daily Wire. This has been on the stack for a few days. I'm kind of glad that we got it out here to the point where I could use it for a thing that I hate, because I hate this. Well, they don't just use, they don't use abortion for birth control. That would be stupid. This would be my third abortion. Pregnant activist takes abortion pill on live TV. From Ben Ziesloft. Abortion activist Jex Blackmore took an abortion pill on live television, then boasted that the move constituted her third abortion. Those things get less effective from what I understand the more times you have to go back and take them, so keep that in mind. There's a recent segment on WJBK Fox 2 Detroit's Let It Rip. Blackmore, who uses they them pronouns, of course it does, discussed the issue of abortion pills with host Charlie Langton and pro-life attorney Rebecca Kiesling. I want to show you how easy it is, how safe it is, by taking it myself, Blackmore said before taking the mifepristone pill, which alongside another substance called misoprostol is used by millions of Americans to murder babies in the earlier stages of gestation. Thank you for being absolutely objective about this, Daily Wire. You're not pregnant, are you? Langton said. Langton asked. I would say this is going to end a pregnancy, Blackmore replied. This will be my third abortion. Blackmore told NBC News that she was, in fact, pregnant. When I was invited onto Let It Rip to discuss the availability of mail-order abortion pills, I thought it would be an opportunity to demonstrate the ease and effectiveness of the medication, and it happened at the right time for me personally, Blackmore told the outlet in an email. Taking the medication on live TV, especially a Fox affiliate, allowed the message to reach folks who normally would not be exposed to information about a medical mail-order abortion. Langton noted the callousness of Blackmore's actions in her comments to NBC News. With abortion, a preborn baby does not just magically vanish into thin air by merely swallowing a pill, as some may think. Langton explained in an email, Jex's actions are extremely deceiving and make me think of someone pushing a button for a drone strike. It would appear easy enough, but in reality, most people understand the carnage will ensue and should be outraged at the tragic loss of life and the callousness with which it was done. Indeed, Blackmore's callousness is increasingly seen in state and federal policymakers willing to protect abortion by statute. New Jersey's Freedom of Reproductive Choice Act, which overwhelmingly passed in the state legislature, codifies the constitutional right, which has been recognized by New Jersey's Supreme Court, to freedom of reproductive choice, including right to access contraception, to terminate a pregnancy, to carry a pregnancy to term, and nullifies any rule, law, or regulation, ordinance, or order that has the effect of abridging the constitutional right to the freedom of reproductive choice. Meanwhile, the FDA removed the requirements that the abortion pill be dispensed only in certain healthcare settings, specifically clinics, medical offices, and hospitals. The new development will allow the abortion pill to be sent by mail and potentially acquired online. I don't know that I need to explain why I hate this. And as I've mentioned before, as I've said on Twitter, as I've said on Contemporary, as I've said on the Rednet Show, I don't know that, I actually know for a fact because the topic hasn't come up yet. I haven't said it on KTZed Redemption. I've said it on Ed's World. I've said it on solo videos. Have you guys who want to make sure that you don't get pregnant, have you ever tried, not fucking? Have you ever tried blowing it in a place that won't get a woman pregnant, or a they, them, or whatever the fuck this thing is? Have you tried getting married? And raising the kids? Really? This is your option. This is the only way you can feel good about yourself. Is to have somebody blow it inside of you and then go back and kill the baby. On live TV, on top of it. I'm done. We're done. I'm getting off air at this point. I can't do this anymore. Let's go find someone to go raid on Twitch. We'll go back and do... we'll go to Nephora's stream again. I like Nephora. Nephora's nice. Alright, let's get the fuck out of here. I'm black-pilled. I'm sad. Now I'm sad, you guys. Now I'm sad. I don't know why I have a point in my beard. Alright, I'm distracted. Let's get the fuck out of here. Competing music going on at once here. So, now that we are all incredibly black-pilled, let's head out of here for the day. So, we'll be back here tomorrow with more contemporary. And if you guys were just lurking, do make sure that you got at least one message in, so I can say thank you, and we will get the names written down of everybody who chatted in the live chat. So, come back in. We will see you here tomorrow, and we'll even read some live chat live on air tomorrow as well, as a special way to say thank you for watching the show throughout the week here. So do, guys, make sure that you're here for that. 7:15 a.m. Central Time for more contemporary. Otherwise, we'll be back here. I don't know what's going on this weekend. I might have some plans, so I might not do any video games here, but we'll definitely be back here Monday morning for more contemporary. Monday night for KTZed Redemption once again, so come back and join us for that. Come and join KTZed as we discuss the news of the week, and we will see you next time. And until then, I am Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary.